off with a presentation by Joe McDonough from American Legal Publishing.
Thank you for inviting me, Mr. Howard, to the meeting. As you mentioned, I'm Joe McDonough from American Legal Publishing. We codify ordinances for cities and counties all over the country, really. We're headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, so we do a whole lot here in Indiana. I've been with the company for almost 39 years now. I've been the Indiana rep the entire time, so I'm very familiar with the state. We work locally here. We do the county code. We do Galveston, quite a few in the area. Kokomo, quite a few. And I submitted a proposal maybe a month or so ago to Mr. Lehman, your city attorney. We corresponded a bit, and we talked a little bit about your local ordinances. It appears to me, from my understanding, it's been a number of years since your code was last updated and codified. And it's probably due for a codification now, due for a recodification and an update, which is what our company does. We're endorsed by Accelerate Indiana Municipalities. I still call them IACT, but we work with about 350 local governments here in Indiana, cities, towns, and counties. What we would do for you folks is we would take your previous code of ordinances that I think it's been 10 years or more since it's been really looked at, and we would review it, first of all, for any conflicts with state code, which is obviously very important to you folks. We would make sure that everything that you've got in the book is current with Indiana code, and I know Mr. Lehman had mentioned he thinks there's some areas there that really need to be gone over, and we will certainly do that. We don't change anything without your permission. All of our recommendations will be put in writing in a research report that we'll submit to Mr. Lehman and the rest of you folks to review before we change anything. But it's certainly an opportunity for you folks to do a lot of house cleaning with your code of ordinances. We'll certainly also add all the ordinances that affect the code that have been adopted by the city since the last update and get them in there as well, certainly. Then we also do some what we call house cleaning activities. We'll review all of your fees and fines and penalties, for instance. There may be something in the code there's nothing wrong with it, but you have a fine for something that's $10, for instance. We find that all the time, and state allows you to fine somebody up to $100 right now. Well, we won't change it to $100 without your permission, but we'll certainly point it out, let you know what your options are to bring those kinds of things up to date. We'll also review just things that are, again, not illegal in your code, but they're just no longer the way you're doing business. For instance, you may have an ordinance going back 30 years that says your council meets on first and third Wednesdays or something, and they no longer meet those days, and we'll get it in there correctly. We'll get the city departments named correctly in your book, just that kind of thing, so it's up to date and current. It's got everything that you folks want. As part of our process, we will also provide you with model ordinances in areas where maybe you don't have an ordinance, but you'd like to have one. You may be looking for some kind of a nuisance ordinance or a curfew ordinance or whatever the hot topic is in town right now. Cutting people, making sure people cut their grass at a certain length, that kind of thing. We can, since we work, as I mentioned, with 350 Indiana local governments, we can show you what Kokomo's doing, what Fort Wayne's doing, what anybody's doing on the same topic. If you want to put in a new ordinance that you don't have, or you do have an older one and it's no longer meeting your needs, you're no longer enforcing it that way, we can give you examples of what other cities are doing on the same topic, so we can get that in the book. Do you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I do, before I forget. So as you go through this, we be, in the end, possibly passing a whole number of different ordinances, or would this be something that you could consolidate and pass all at one time?
Great question. I get that all the time. At the end of the process, we will give you a single ordinance that adopts the entire new book by one ordinance. So, and we'll provide that ordinance to you. So you don't, if you're making 100 changes in your book, you don't have to pass 100 ordinances. The ordinance that we provide you will automatically repeal anything that's in conflict with the new book and adopt anything new to you that's in the new book, so that with that single ordinance, that the new code book, yours will be a little bit bigger than this one, but the new code book will become the official new body of law for Logansport, and the older ordinances that have been repealed are repealed. So.
One other question I had. So, like you said, I believe our ordinance hasn't been updated, our book on, our code list on the internet since 2014. One of the concerns that the clerk treasurer's office had because of time and whatnot was they had spoke to somebody previously, I believe the outfit that currently still puts ours out there, we just pay them to put it out there the way it is, that we would have to go back, our clerk treasurers would have to go back through all those and pull out all the stuff that they thought was pertinent from all those. That would be something you guys would entirely do on your own.
We would take care of that for you. Once we got the new book ready for you, we'll create a new online version for you, and it'll have everything in it. And then we'll link it to your city's website back and forth. So we'll actually maintain it in our online library. Same place we have Cass County support code book. And then, but someone can go to your local website, click on code of ordinances, and they'll shoot them over to ours, and back and forth. If you want to go to your website from our website. And then we have an update service for keeping your book up to date in future years, so you don't get so far behind. And you can update on any schedule that fits your needs. Most of our cities in Indiana, the size of Logansport, they'll probably update either quarterly or twice a year. But we can do whatever. I mean, we do the city of Chicago every week, so we can handle anything that you got. But the idea is so that the books, your paper folks here, so then. So the cost of the project, I don't know, but I have but the cost of the project is, including all of the legal research and updating, is $12,575, and that can be spread over two budget years. So. You can spend some of it this year, some of it next year. You can split that however you want. And I say as long as it adds up to 100 at the end. You wanted to do 10% this year, 90% next year, what have you. We can work with you. I do that all the time. So however it fits, what funds you folks have available. And then the cost of the creation of the online version, I want to make sure I quote that correctly. $695 additional the first time to create that new online version, and that is $595 in subsequent years to host it and keep it online for you.
Per year to keep it online, $595.
Yes. And then one other thing with the updates that we do, whether they're quarterly, annual, whatever, semi-annual, is that in addition to getting your new ordinances in the book for you with each update, we also review new state law changes that they enact in Indianapolis that affect local codes. And if a new law was passed that affects your book, we'll notify you of that. We'll fix it for you, get it in the book correctly. And then with each update, we also give you an ordinance to adopt a new update as part of the code.
I'm liking you better all the time. What do you think the timeline would be with as far back as ours goes?
By contract, we would have a maximum of 7 months to get you the draft of the book for your review, for Mr. Lehman's review. Right now, I think we're probably running more like 5 or 6 months, but it takes several months for us to give you the draft and the research report to review. And then at that time, if you folks want us to come out, to go over the draft with you, go over our research report, we're happy to do that. As I mentioned, we're just in Cincinnati, and we work all over the country, so it's easy to get here.
You mentioned that it was $595 a year to keep it online. Does that include the updates?
The updates are on a per-page basis. So,
Okay.
we charge 19, if you choose a single column format, which most of our clients do, which looks like this, it's $19 a page to update, per page for each update. So if you change 10 pages of the book, it's $190. If you choose the double column format, which is a smaller font, it's more on a page, it's $23. And then then on top of that is an extra $1.95 to also update the online part. So and we charge on a per page basis, so that in 1 year you don't drop much, you don't pay as much as on another year. And we also never charge for our updates in advance. You don't have to pay for the update. I know there are some companies out there that make you pay a large fee every January for any updates that may be coming out, and we don't do that. For our updates, we charge after we finish the work.
Other questions?
I think this cost sounds really reasonable. I can't understand why we waited so long to do this. Makes no sense to me, so.
I'll send the presentation back out. We all got it in an email, I don't know, it's probably been a month and a half, 2 months ago from Dave, but I'll pull it out and send it back to you guys. So everybody's got a copy, but everybody interested in moving forward with this? Okay,
Yeah, sure am.
all right.
Would you like me to leave a copy of the proposal here?
I would like to have one.
Yeah, I know she,
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Thank you. Great.
What? I have not seen this.
Any other questions I can answer?
So if we pass this, say next month at our council meeting, then you guys could start fairly soon after that?
Yes, once you pass it, we'll probably check with your clerk treasurer to get copies of the orders since 2014, it sounds like, and a copy of the old book, and we'll go from there.
I did have one more question. I was wondering, so how do you do do you do a cross-referencing?
Yes, so there's 2 ways of cross-reference. At the end of each section, there'll be a little, what we call the ordinance history, which lists what ordinances that section came from over the years. And then in the back of the book, there'll be a reference table where you list all the ordinances chronologically and where you can find them in the book. And the same with state code. Whenever state code is mentioned, there'll be a state code reference in the back of the book. So you can look up state code references to see where they are in the book. And then for the online version, you can click on all those things. So you can click in the ordinance table in the back. You can click on a ordinance number, it'll take you where it is in the code. You click on the state law reference, it'll take you to where it is in the code. It's also useful for penalties. In the online version, at the end of each section, there'll be a little penalty icon. When you click on the penalty, it'll take you right to the penalty for that section. Anything else?
any more
you.
questions? Joe, thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
Thank you.
All right, next item, Scott had something to cover with the motorized vehicle ordinance, I guess you would call it.
Unless about golf carts, mini bikes, and people who are driving them, mainly children. You can see the picture up here, catty corner from the city building.
Nice golf cart.
Here's a video. If you pay good attention to this, guys driving around on the sidewalk. This is kind of what we're complaining about. 17th Street there on Broadway. I told him that you can't have golf carts on the street, and he told me that 2 police officers and 1 DNR officer told him that he can ride on the sidewalk with his golf cart. That's what he stated.
Department and ask them.
No, I knew that wasn't right. But you can watch here that he obeys the stop
Know who this
signs.
person is, Scott?
Yes, I do.
Have you advised to go and speak with him and straighten him out?
Once I did, they said they know of him and they know where he lives. Right through the stop sign there on North Street.
How did you get this video?
Pardon?
How did you get this video?
Facebook. Proud of it.
He's going by your house, Susan.
He lives in my neighborhood.
So he's bragging about doing this?
Pardon?
He's bragging about doing this?
The audio, yes. Back on the sidewalk here. It's a 1500 block of High Street. There was one video where he darted in between the yards, too. This is part of the problem. The main problem is the children that are on mini bikes, ATVs, golf carts. They don't have the rules and regulations of the road, right-of-ways, stop signs. They just go right through them. My thought is there's going to be an accident or death due to just negligence on that part. I'd like to see an ordinance go into effect, and Mayor, I'd like to see you get on the police department to enforce that, or else we're wasting our time on the ordinance.
Well, according to Kelly, there is an ordinance that outlaws all these things.
I was told that there wasn't. I thought we voted on one administration or two ago.
In fact, that if in the minutes of today's
Kelly
meeting, it
told me there
mentions
was
that
one.
Kelly said he was going to find the ordinance for you. But it doesn't
I thought that
sound
was
like,
UTVs.
huh?
I thought that was UTVs.
It doesn't specify it. I believe he said it was for all motorized vehicles.
Okay.
And he was supposed to show that, or give that to you, but the issue, I don't believe, is that we need a new ordinance. The issue is that, someone just needs to go talk to this fellow and explain to him that if we see him doing it, he's going to be fined, and
Also, people have told me, I drove right by the cops, I waved to them in my golf cart, nothing happened.
I guess that, I would say that's a one for the department head meetings possibly, Mayor.
We need support on this, or we're going to go nowhere. Ordinances are nothing if there's not,
I agree
support.
completely.
We have a department head meeting Wednesday. We have a department head meeting Wednesday, so I'll bring it up.
So do we need to amend that ordinance, or is there already one in place for everything that I mentioned?
Without seeing the ordinance,
Yeah, we'd have to read it first.
You know-
And Kelly already told you that he was gonna get it to you, so he didn't.
I have not.
I believe the old ordinance was about all the ATVs wanting to drive into town.
UTVs?
The ATVs, the
Side-by-side.
side-by-sides.
Yeah, those are UTVs, utility
Okay.
truck vehicle.
Before I came here, I just left Walgreens, and there was 4 kids on one mini bike, and the other ones had the electric scooters, just, zipping on down the road.
We had a close call on the 4th of July with the vendors on the north side of the park. They were standing on the trail, and a bunch of mini bikes came through, and someone almost hit. And they're right on the trails too, which you're not supposed to drive motorized vehicles on the trails. So we need some, come on up, Jan.
That was reported to me by vendors.
Okay.
That was parked there along the trail. They had all the vendors along the trail on July 4th, and these kids were zipping up and down on their motorbikes. But the other thing I was going to ask is, people have e-bikes now too, and technically that's a motorized bike. But there are classes, first and second class of e-bike are ones that you use to pedal, get the pedal, you still have to use the pedal to keep it going. Class 3 e-bike is one that is all motorized, and so that's one of the other things that needs to be addressed, whatever else we do. So I know that John Blockham at the Panhandle Pathway, that's one of the things that they're trying to enforce. And he sent out an email the other day that had the rules very clearly stated and about the differences between 1, 2, or 3 class e-bike. So I think that's another thing too. So I know we talked about that last year, a couple years ago when we had scooters, the electric scooters, that we didn't want electric scooters on the trails because the speeds that they go can be 20 to 25, 30 miles an hour in some cases. So that's, these are trails for pedestrians and bicycles, and I would say skateboards, but scooters, electric scooters, that's not appropriate. So.
Do you have the verbiage that he used for the?
Yeah.
That might be helpful for us to look at that verbiage and look at the ordinance all at one time.
It sounds like no matter what our ordinance says right now, that since there are new types of these e-bikes, we need to upgrade our ordinance anyway. And also maybe, like that guy was just talking about, maybe, you just
State
include a
code.
fine in the ordinance. I think that's where a lot of times we don't get it right, is that we make an ordinance and then we don't have the punishment that can go with it attached to it. So I think that we should just consider writing a new ordinance.
What she's got, look at what we got. Have Kelly.
You guys all get the one from Kelly?
No, we didn't get it. We
No,
were
that's why I say it
expecting you
was
to
in the
send it to
minutes
us.
that he was going to, he said, basically says he was going to look for it and get it to you.
I will get with Kelly and get that ordinance and make sure you guys got at least a copy of it, and then we'll decide to go on from there, amendment or adding to.
And I'll forward
And you-
language on the e-bikes then too.
Okay, I appreciate that, yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Jan.
It's also going to include the hoverboards now,
Pardon me?
the new hoverboards that the kids are driving. I mean, you see
Are they
them,
floating or?
no, they're electric,
Oh, I don't know what those are.
like
I know what you're
skateboards.
Kind of
talking
talks about
about.
just those 2 little wheels
Yeah.
on it or
Yeah, but
whatever.
they fly down the road too,
Like yeah.
like a skateboard but sideways.
Okay, yeah. I've seen them, but I guess I haven't seen that many of them,
We-
but anyway.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Jan.
Jan?
That's all I had.
Anybody else got anything for rules tonight? All right, I'm going to close the Rules Committee meeting at 5:53.
Yeah, you need to, because that's part of the door on.
ready to leave, and then, oh, you have a new student, so I didn't.
That sounds like me at home, by the time I'm ready to do something. My internet's out, or maybe it's gone, I don't have no paper.
Yeah. Okay. I think it'll be here tomorrow. I was like,
Now, Wednesday or Thursday, the first day?
kids come Wednesday.
Wednesday.
You can't even see the river. It would be a little closer to get those trees. You know, my brother Jim makes it so that the little turtle trail, you can see that river all the way to 18th Street. We need another Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Next meeting.
They said I was gonna do that. I don't understand why they give us another one of these. They give us this one. I mean, it's like, I have this one and I have my notes on it. I read it. So why do they, I don't understand why they do that. Such a waste.
Well, that's the problem. I get used to it about Thursday.
I hope he brings up a city meeting next time and tell him we have one to sit at the end of our table. You know what, I found this one. I got it. Solution.
Which is supposed to be soon, I think I'll wait on the parking lot to get the
Yeah, say.
sidewalk so they can get in. Yeah, it's different when all the grass is cut back. You can see sidewalk, you realize how big the sidewalk is.
Fair shipping does it across the street. Good evening, I'm Mayor Chris Martin calling to order the regular session of the Logansport Common Council. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. BJ Cox.
Present.
Chris Howard.
Present.
Cameron Austin. Present. Haley Zinsmaster.
Present.
Scott Peedy.
Present.
Susie Wamsley.
Present.
Dave Morris.
We'll start with the approval of minutes for the July 7th, 2025 meeting. Do you have a motion?
Second.
Call for question.
Dave Morris. Yes. Susie Wamsley.
Yes.
Scott Peedy.
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster.
Yes.
Cameron Austin.
Yes.
Chris Howard.
Yes.
BJ Cox.
Yes.
Next is the reports from committees, boards, and commissions.
July 21st, the Finance Committee met. We discussed funding assistance for the Community Foundation, the revolving fund, creating additional funds for GEO bond, auction proceeds, and the board of works transfer request. All of those are on the next agenda. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, on July 21st, we had a Rules Committee meeting where we discussed the time clock ordinance, which is on the agenda tonight. And then we had a Rules Committee meeting this evening prior to council, discussing a presentation from American Legal Publishing, as well as discussion on possibly updating the motorized vehicle ordinance.
Any other reports from committees, boards, or commissions? Seeing none, no old business, on to new business. Resolution 2025-143, Councilman Peedy. Sorry?
Yeah, we got a presentation first.
Sorry, Malcolm. I apologize. I apologize. Yes. First, the air monitoring report update. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler, for
You're welcome.
the slides today. Yes, so this was the a presentation covering really the last 3.5 years of monitoring. So I'm prepared tonight to kind of tell the story. We've got a lot of data, and I think the indications are pretty clear at this point. Please. This is the timeline that you've seen before. I guess most importantly, looking at the far right, we were told when they initially permitted the WSP plan, the reason that this project got started from the beginning was because we were concerned about being a sacrificial zone for zinc recycling operation. But the plant was permitted for 2 kilns. They initially constructed the plant with the first kiln, but they put in all the infrastructure where they could very quickly add a second kiln at a later date without having to put in all of the basic feed and process handling. Just all you really need to do is slot in a second kiln. So they mentioned last year that the second kiln would be added beginning of 2025, and that hasn't happened yet. But I think we're getting close to that point, and I'll show you on the next slide. This is a plot showing the growth of the plant production. They report, this is from Real Car reports that they provide to the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. And you can see that between their start out in 2022 to 2023 was about 41.6% growth. And then further growth, also very significant growth between 2023 and 2024 for almost 40% compounded annual growth rate. And the yellow dots there, the dashes, show the capacity of the kiln, and then the red just shows the actual production growth, and then it's extrapolated, the green is extrapolated growth for the future, which would suggest that they would reach the need for a second kiln, because they would exceed the capacity of the initial one sometime in 2025. So potentially even the rest of this year, since they already have a permit, already have the balance of plant already constructed. They could probably put it all together in about 3 months. Next slide. And I wanted to show you the growth rate because that will be important in terms of how to interpret some of the air monitor data that we collected. And over the past 3.5 years, we've collected 235 air quality samples, that 1 and 6 day EPA schedule. And associated with those air quality samples and the dates of those 24 hours that those samples were collected, we have over 16,000 wind observations. Next. And the wind pattern hasn't really changed much. This is the wind pattern over the 3.5 years the data was collected. It shows it maybe a little more to the west than it had been in earlier years, but still predominant wind direction ranges from the south-southwest to the west. And this slide shows the concentrations over time. And we began to see some elevated lead readings even before startup when they were bringing the electric arc furnace dust onto the plant in rail cars. And then the emissions, the lead measurements began to increase over time and actually reached a peak in 2023. And then it was in the years 2024 and in 2025 to date, it's actually dropped off a little bit. So it was held pretty steady. But we never went back to the pre-facility baseline that we had before. So I think what you're seeing there about in the 2023 from now on is probably what we'll see, with the 1 kiln operation. And the levels are still well below the, community level of concern that we established, which is shown as a red line. So our average values have not even come close to being at a level of concern for the health. Now, we're all a little bit contaminated because of it, but not to a level that the EPA is concerned about. Next slide. So this is a polar plot, which is a plot of, it's a little hard to see, but it's a plot of all of the concentration data and the wind data. So the circle looks like a compass. So you can see that all of those hundreds of data points are in there, but they're all kind of clustered to the center inside that ring, which is the community level of concern. So we've only had really a few instances when the few data points that were outside of that cluster, and only one really well outside that ring of the community level of concern. And that particular sample was actually, the wind was coming out of the north or the northwest, so we couldn't even attribute it to coming from the business center, agribusiness district. So the key findings of this project has been that concentrations have ranged from 0.0008 micrograms per cubic meter to 0.05. The average concentration being 0.003, and the median, which is another way to show the middle of the data, is 0.002, and that number is 1/10 of the level of concern. And that's the level of concern exceeded really once out of 196 detections. And of course, all those numbers are well below the EPA National Air Quality Standard of 0.15, which is the regulatory standard. So the conclusion is that WSP explains an increasing trend in lead between 2022 and 2023. We're spaced, the sampling, the monitoring station at 3 miles distance does allow for a good measurement of what is being emitted there. And the southwest winds do transport emissions from the plant to that sampling point, as well as to the city of Logansport. And, you know, I think it says, and our data has been comparable to the data that WSP has shared from their own monitoring station, which tells essentially the same story, is that it's, you know, the monitoring station did what it was intended to do. The data does show lead sources from multiple sources, not just from the southwest, not just from the industrial park, but other sources. And sometime, and at least one occasion, it was a pretty significant spike. We didn't really, because it was not a regulatory level and because it wasn't repetitive, we really didn't do any deep research on where those other sources, you know, which ones were contributing the most, but because it's the answer to the question is not all that relevant. I conclude that there's no immediate health concerns in this operation.
Malcolm, can you just touch on the other elements? And there's not been any concern with the other elements we test for either?
They trade together. The manganese, chromium, cadmium, and the zinc do show a similar trending to the lead. That we knew that some of those are fingerprint elements, but it was lead that we're most concerned about from the standpoint that their potential to emit lead is not changing. The potential for lead, high levels of lead are still there, but their pollution controls are keeping it out of the stack.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are you going to continue doing this monitoring?
That's up to you. I'm going to continue to operate it. Yeah, it's operating today. In fact, we're collecting a sample today. But I mean, it is a good time to consider, you know, whether it should continue or not. And I think that's a decision for you guys to make.
What's your recommendation?
What's that?
What's your recommendation?
I don't see the benefit of it, especially in a year when you're faced with other, you know, budget uncertainties. It costs about $32,000 a year to operate the monitoring station.
Yeah, but what do you do with it if you stop using it?
Excuse me?
What happens if you stop using it?
If you start using it, well, there are, the state does monitor for lead. They have 5 monitoring stations. Unfortunately, none of them are in our neighborhood. Most of them are up around the steel mills, up in the northwest corner of the state. There's one in Muncie. They're not on a trajectory where they would monitor here. So I imagine if we stopped, I'm sure that WSP would stop as well. We wouldn't have that information. So there's, with them, they're not required to monitor at their air station. They did that as a concession to during the permitting period. They have stack testing that's done on a frequency of 1 in 5 years. But I would say even if they added a kiln and doubled the production, they still would be less than they'd be less than a community level concern and certainly less than a regulatory level. In order for the state to get interested in putting in a lead monitor, it had to be at least, we'd have to have some evidence that they were emitting at least half of the national ambient air quality. so .07. So, and we've never seen a measurement that high. That where the state, where we say, would the state come in and take over the monitoring station? I don't think we have a story or a basis for getting that done.
Do you have any questions for Malcolm?
What about the state adding it to their inventory of monitoring
That's what I
stations?
was saying, we're not at levels that would be of interest to the state. It'd have to be, we'd have to see levels 4 times higher than we're seeing them in order for the state to even take a look at it, I think.
What about, I mean, how do you monitor the level of operation out there? You said kiln number 2, if operated like this kiln, would not be a problem, but if it's not operated in that
If
fashion?
it's not operating at that, or there is a chance that, with 3 years in, the plant is still new. It hasn't got a lot of wear and tear on it. There are a lot of controls, and of course, it requires maintenance. So you start looking at things like, well, how compliant are they being in other aspects of their business? And how well are they maintaining, the facility in general? And I haven't seen anything that would be alarming in that way. They've had a couple of, violations. They've had some, they've had a few fines, but nothing that would probably be alarming compared to any other major company that's permitted in the industrial park.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have one, Malcolm. If we do stop the testing, would that, in your opinion, could WSP get more relaxed with their safety or get reckless with the goods?
They definitely know that we're watching because
Yes.
they're very interested in having the data shared with them. I think
Yeah.
you would say, but I don't know how to really answer that. I would say that if there's concern is with on a serious environmental level, it's more with the partner, the Zinc National partner in the deal. They've been subject to an expose about their operations in Monterrey, Mexico, where the product from this plant goes.
Okay.
That was in the Guardian in January this year. The plant was shut down for a while, portions of it by the federal government in Mexico. They found 30,000 tons of crude zinc oxide of the kind that's made here, just being improperly stored and that kind of thing. Contamination there, is 1,700 times greater than the EPA level. So they're not great. They're not great. When they're not being regulated or it's not being enforced, the things that they handle, right, have the chance to be a problem. But we haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, they have a reputation for spills and pollution, and they had at least one major spill out there already. that I was aware of. Yeah. Accident or not, that's still contamination.
Yeah. We were, on top of that, running the monitor when that was going on.
Good.
Didn't see anything that would brace them on. And the state may have cleaned it up pretty quickly.
Good. I would recommend that we continue to test as a safety precaution. Got a lot of people in this town that are susceptible to that.
There's we had to do maintenance on the Sanford itself, so we've and I don't see anything that would be, significant added expense to what it's cost, on an annual basis already, because we continue to maintain it.
Okay.
So that's about what you would expect to see for the half budget for next year.
Is there an option to just do less samples? I mean, for your data points, you have to do it a certain number of times, or, like, is there an option to only test it like 4 times a year, or just do less samples, or?
So we follow because it's like, how do you determine what the sampling frequency is going to be? We follow the same, we run this program exactly like the EPA would run it if the EPA were running a monitor.
Okay.
The same type of lead monitor, which is 1 sample every 6 days, so it's never on the same day and 2 consecutive measurements. It's
Okay.
always shifts. So that if a company was just, if they were doing dirty deeds on Saturday, you never, and you were sampling on Friday, you would never see it. So it's always changing. And we're really looking at, because exposure is significant over chronic, over a long period of time on average. You look at averages, not any one, don't get excited about any specific one data point, but you look for patterns and you look for averages and compare those to health standards. So I don't know, we certainly could operate on a less frequency, but I would recommend either. If we ever had to defend the data, we ever had to some good questions were asked when we started this program. I said, what is it that you do if we find we have a problem? Right. Well, we have a hierarchy of steps that we would take, to initially take it up with the generator, and then if we didn't get satisfaction that they have something that they were taking care of, then we would go to the state. And if we didn't go, and then we would go to the media. There's a lot of things that we could do to provide corrective action. But I think you, in the case you needed to do that, you want to rely on having done it according to
Right, that makes sense.
procedure and standards and doing it, a certain way, because there would be a lot of pushback.
One of the things that we did at the very start was, they knew we were going to put our own monitor in, and they brought their environmental people out to our site and went over how we had set it up, how it was going to work and everything, and basically got the approval of their people that, yeah, this is up to snuff and everything's being done properly at that time. And Malcolm's been real good at maintaining that since the start.
There's been a lot of work out at the wastewater treatment plant now with the updating the networks, but they haven't told us that we're in the way or ready to trace us off.
Haven't piled dirt on top of it yet.
I just want to note that whether you test or don't test, that's your decision. We have a monthly meeting of all the manufacturers get together. It's an environmental health and safety roundtable. Mike Engler always attends. Mike is the plant manager at WSP. I've always found him to be very transparent. So if you've ever wanted them to come in and talk about what's going on out there, he'd come in. I don't think he'd get lax. He's pretty persistent when it comes to environmental safety. And I do know they do hire a lot of internal audits for their air quality and permitting. So they got somebody in there weekly, monthly, watching over and looking at their policies, procedures. I think they're really on top of the game. And you guys have kind of put them in that position, which is a good thing. So I'm confident, whether you test or not, that Mike would come in and talk to you guys at any point in time.
He even offered us a tour, the whole council.
Yeah, he's pretty proud of what they have. And numbers look good so far.
Okay, yeah. Very good.
If you ever want him in here, just let me know, and he definitely come in.
I still meet with him probably 3-4 times a year. He brings me the numbers off theirs, and like Malcolm says, theirs pretty well line up with ours. And if you know, for those, in case you don't know, their monitor is on top of the buildings over here on High Street in the 500 block, I don't know. But like right behind where Consolidated Union is, it's up on top of the building there. And they test the same way. They're on the same schedule we're on, so basically our readings have always lined up.
Stop testing, will we have access to their monitors to see what's going on?
I would say as long as Mike's out there, we would.
Stop testing, he gets canned, are we going to be shut out?
I have no
Possibility.
idea, Scott, but I'm with Bill. Mike's pretty transparent. He's
So do it on him. He's good. He even gave us his card and his number, so call anytime.
Post my go after.
The data is not public, and it's not regulated, and they don't provide it to the state as a matter of course, the primary course of business.
Okay.
I would suggest that since we are already halfway through this year of 2025, and you're pretty confident that they're going to put the second kiln in there in 2025?
I mean, you look at their statements, it said it would be at the beginning of 2025, and they haven't yet. And I mean, whether they do or don't is going to depend upon the management scene. So that will drive the decision.
Right, but I wouldn't feel very confident with stopping our testing and then they double their output. I think that we should just continue to do what we're doing until they're at the production rate where they really set out to be and where they want to be. I just would be uncomfortable saying, let's stop now. I just think we should keep doing it until they're at the capacity they want to be at, and we can make sure that the numbers are where we have them now.
I agree. I want to keep our monitor because we're keeping them honest.
Well, I probably won't have to wait too long. I don't know if Dave, this might share any information with you about the second kill.
I talked to you a little bit, and I think I gave you some information. I think they're making some alterations in the way that they move the material from one location to another, and I think that was a step towards the eventual second kiln. But I could be misstating how that works.
I mean, the other thing, you're that just it's speculative, right? But there's reasonable. One of the things we were concerned about is not just an expansion of adding the second kiln, but what else might be coming in the future in terms of additional zinc refining processes. And with the tariffs, the trade issues that we're seeing today, whether Zinc National would decide to expand in Mexico or to expand in the United States, they could expand at the Millport plant in Alabama, they could expand here. But they have mentioned that they intend to move, because they've had so much of a problem in Monterey, moving their operations out of that area, but they haven't. So it's reasonable to think that Logansport could be, because of its proximity to the mills, its proximity to transportation hubs, and because shipping material from here to Monterey, Mexico, 1,500 miles or more, is expensive, that they could, we could be looking at. They've got a lot of real estate, more than they need for 2 kiln operation. But a little speculative, I'll put an emphasis on that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Now on to new business. Resolution 2025-143, Councilman Petey.
Resolution 2025-143, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, transferring appropriations for the Board of Works. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on Resolution 2025-143, please.
Second. Any further discussion?
discussion? Call for question. BJ Cox,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes?
Cameron Austin. Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Dave Morris. Resolution 2025-143 passes. Resolution 2025-144, Councilman Cox.
Resolution 2025-144, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, appropriating CEDA funds to the Cass County Community Foundation, CCF, for the construction of the Farmers Market Development. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on Resolution 2025-144.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Hang on just
Oh,
one second.
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to, Deanna, you want to come up and introduce Ryan to the rest of the council? I don't know that everyone's met Ryan.
Thank you again to the council for your support on this project. We were very fortunate to have met Mr. Ryan Wohlheis when we were doing our site visits around to determine what type of facility that we wanted to actually construct and put into our community. Ryan was so excited about the project, he came and visited in March. We convinced him to move to Logansport to take on the project. He's the executive director of our culinary education and entrepreneurship at the Incubator Kitchen. He's from Grand Rapids now. So, you want to share anything?
Yeah, for sure. I'm from Grand Rapids. I ran a similar incubator kitchen program up there for 6.5 years, where we were able to launch over 200 food and beverage businesses, 45 of which grew their own brick-and-mortar facilities that are still up and running. When we first had 43, we had 2 entrepreneurs who were actually able to sell their brand to larger, more regional brands. But the statistic that we like to talk about a lot is that we were able to create over 500 jobs in the West Michigan area through our work. So I'm from a town very similar to Logansport. I grew up in a farm community. I'm very excited to support food and beverage entrepreneurs, and there's just so much potential and talent here. I can't wait for the building to finally be done and really get to work.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Anyone have any questions?
Does anybody want to start a food business?
I'm kind of hungry. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Call for question. Dave Morris,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
No.
Chris Howard,
Yes?
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-144 passes. Ordinance 2025-17, Councilman Austin.
It's 2025-17, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, rescinding ordinance 2024-35 and 2024-36, appropriating ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, number 176/2407, ARP funds, and reappropriation those same funds for the renovation of the Lower Spencer Park Pavilion. Mr. Mayor, ask for a vote on ordinance 2025-117.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call for question. Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes?
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-17 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2025-18, Councilman Howard.
Ordinance 2025-18, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, for additional appropriation of auction proceeds to various city departments. Mr. Mayor, ask for a vote on ordinance 2025-18.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question. Scott Petey,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes?
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
Cameron Austin.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-18 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2025-19, Councilwoman Zinsmaster.
Ordinance 2025-19, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, appropriating funds for the City of Logansport, Indiana revolving fund, number 406/4406. And I would ask for a vote on ordinance 2025-19 on its first reading.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just a note, Mayor, ordinance 2025-18 and ordinance 2025-19 will have a public hearing before the start of the next council meeting on September 8th for both of those because they're additional appropriations.
Thank you. Let us know that. All right. Call for question.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-19 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2025-20, Councilman Morris.
Ordinance 2025-20, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, approving amendments to the use of alcoholic beverages in city parks, accepting certain circumstances granted by the Logansport Parks Board. I would move to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2025-20 on first reading.
Second.
Call for question on suspension of rules.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Cameron Austin.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-20 rules are suspended. Yes, Jan?
We need to amend, as far, I was aware that we did left out Iron Horse Park in the parks that are allowing alcohol for special events, and where Dora, that's the other part of that as well. We listed all the other parks that we do allow for special events, but we did leave off Iron Horse Park. So I wonder if you could please amend that, if we would include that.
I make a motion to amend.
Second.
I've included in Dora area.
I'm sorry, what?
Iron Horse Park included in the Dora area?
Yes, it is,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I have a motion and a second to amend ordinance 2025-20, adding in Iron Horse Park. Call for question.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Cameron Austin.
Yes.
Do I have, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Jan.
Now I need a motion and a second to vote on ordinance 2025-20 with the amendment.
Make a motion.
Second.
Call for question.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Cameron Austin.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-20 passes with suspension of rules. Ordinance 2025-21, Councilwoman Wamsley.
Ordinance 2025-21, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, amending ordinance 2024-30, which established a fund in accordance with the general obligation, open paren, GO bond for the City of Logansport, Indiana. I move for a vote on ordinance 2025-21, first reading.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley, Scott Petey,
Yes.
BJ Cox, Chris Howard.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-21 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2025-22, Councilman Howard.
Ordinance 2025-22, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport regarding time clock expectations for civil city employees. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on ordinance 2025-22.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes. I guess my only question is, did we need to add a line for a consequence if if people are not clocking in?
That's what you want in the book, yeah. I mean, I think this was adopted. Yes, I guess would be if you want it in the ordinance, or just, I thought they were just adopting what they've adopted in the manual.
The policies state that there are consequences if you don't.
Somebody asked me that question if we needed to add it, so.
I think your ordinance is just supporting your policies, and it's stated in the policies. I don't know that we need to have it in the ordinance.
It says if they don't do it, they're subject to sanction, including up to discharge
Right.
on that. When I mentioned a point system, that was I talked to a couple employment people, and that's something they said had really worked well in other environments, to say, okay, there's so many points for this, so many points for that, and once you accumulated X number of points, you were gone. That's part of the handbook, if that's, I think so.
But how many times do we let them do this?
And here's the thing, it's really up to your Human Resources Department to enforce this. And,
Department head.
yeah, well, your department head and ultimately your Human Resources Department. So I just, I don't like
How are you
to,
going to get paid?
yeah.
That's the idea.
I think that people are going to clock in because they know that that's the only way they're going to earn a paycheck. I don't like assuming people aren't going to do it. Just personally, I don't like assuming people are going to be negative about what you're doing. And if they are, then, and we have to do something else, then, maybe we do that later. But I don't like assuming that people are not going to live up to these new policies, and that's kind of like us having a negative attitude about our employees for our city. That's just my personal opinion.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-22 passes on its first reading. All right, any public comments? Anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment? Please come to the microphone. Go ahead.
Paul Mullenham, 630 South 15th Street. I'm glad to see that council's adopting the time clock ordinance. My concern is, at the committee meeting we had prior to this in July, our department, HR department leader essentially said there's ghost employment going on within the city of Logansport in various departments. I know that Kelly seemed to be surprised by that. I'm certainly surprised by it. And I just wonder what actions the city is going to take regarding these issues of ghost employment, because they are a felony in the state of Indiana. They're supposed to be reported, and it seems that if we're not following up on this, we run the risk of the State Board of Accounts saying, well, wait a minute, they just said there's problems in several departments. I don't think you want to have State Board of Accounts all over you on it, but I just wonder what steps the council can take or city government to determine what the consequences are of those people who may be involved in ghost employment, because it is a felony. And that was my only concern about, I think the ordinance is good, I just think people may have slipped through and may have violated the law, we're not doing anything about that part of it. But, just curious as to if we want to be transparent, and we want to avoid audits, we need to get to the bottom of who was involved and how serious was it? Because otherwise the State Board of Accounts is going to come in and do it for you. That's not a preferable thing to do. So that was my only concern about it. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Any council member comments? Oh, sorry. Okay. Come on up.
For your comments about monitoring support. I wanted to bring up a few things. I'm sorry I didn't copy it off for everybody, but I did make a copy. On the EPA, on their TRI, which is, what is that, toxic release inventory. So they post this every year, but it's usually a year behind. So the most recent I have is 2023. But I wanted to bring a timeline to you. So I know this isn't very big, but this is in 2021. WSP started firing up. Their first was June 2nd of 2022. So if you notice here, I mean, there's other pages, but this is the most important to me. If you notice here, this line, and that was prior to when WSP had started. So at that time, we have a business called HTI Incorporated, which is the highest in thousands of pounds, which is off-site disposal and other releases. And that goes up to just under 100,000 pounds. That's important to know. So then in 2022, we have this one. And this is WSP. They're at the top. And that's 2022. And this is in millions of pounds. And they were over 3,000 millions of pounds. Well, it's okay, so I don't know what's that stand for. Anyway, so they're over in the millions. This is Heidelberg, if that tells you anything. So this is our cement plant, and this is WSP. Okay? Now let's go to 2022, or 23, the most recent. Again, millions of pounds. 9 million pounds. That has to do with off-site disposal and other releases. So I've been doing a tally on what's been going out to the landfill since all of this. And when you have the incoming EAF dust, and then it's usually like a 70-30, 70% is the WIP, which is Wales Iron Product, which is their junk stuff. And then you have the WZO, which goes down to Monterrey, Mexico for refining. So when you do that, you do the equations and you divide it up, it came out to, for the 2022, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, then all of 2023, all of 2024, comes to 213,556.093 tons, which has been going out to the landfill. So, now we're going to touch about the Monterrey, Mexico. This is the article, the latest article, which is just in May, from The Guardian, about the debacle that's going on in Mexico. So, in a letter to authorities, the company has now vowed to move its most intensive operations away from its current location in the middle of Monterrey metropolitan area within 2 years. So that'd be 2027. Now, when we first started this whole thing with the monitoring, we always had the idea that it's really not the last 5 years. So that's not until June 2nd of 2027, which will be there 5 years. Now, we have done some off-site soil testing, which will give us a bigger picture on what happens in 5 years. Now, just think about what would have happened to Monterrey, to the city where their zinc national is right now, had they had an air monitoring system. Now, we know that they have their, like, we have IDEM, they have ProFIFA. So it's different on what they do. I understand that, but Another point I thought that was really interesting in this article was Profica declined to renew the company's, quote, clean industry certificate, which it has held for years. So you talk about what the company does and what they're tested for, what the inspectors do, and keep in mind, we have deregulations going on right now with EPA. Governor Braun just did deregulations with IM. So what do you think is going to happen if they don't provide the amount of inspectors to come out and do their job? And as of this year, Indiana is number 2 in the most polluted air per square mile in the United States. The lowest we've ever been, or I should say the highest, has been 4. We have been 1, we have been 2, we have been 3, we've been 4, now we're back to 2. So that's where Indiana is in itself. So I encourage you to, keep putting this in your forefront on what's going on, because just because we don't see it now, we got to see the big picture. And this takes time, over time. Look where Monterrey, Mexico is. Look what that has happened. And I understand there's budget issues with the state, with our federal and state monies. And I would encourage you to reach out to the county, maybe collaborate. It was the county who brought that. So I think there's some responsibility that needs there. It doesn't need to be all on your guys' shoulders. So I encourage you to reach out to them if that's going to be an issue. What else I want to say? Oh, and back in 2022, when Malcolm was talking about, future, it was previously published about bringing a zinc refinery into Cass County. Now then, they since took that back, but it was published that it was a possibility, because there's still several acres that are out there that's available for expansion. So if Zinc National wants to relocate like they're saying, and they're not telling us where, there's a very real possibility, because they don't want to keep doing the shipping because that's expensive. So again, thank you for your time, and do you have any questions?
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Laura. Any other public comments? All right, any council member comments?
Go ahead.
I just have a comment. I just wanted to ask Kelly if you have you answered the tort claim on behalf of the city?
I have not answered it. We don't answer it as such. We get it to our insurance company, and they have it in their hands now, and that they do the investigation, because they're evaluating the claim, which is what they always do, and have like a what do you call it, adjuster look into it. And so that's in process right now. And then they send some kind of letter, and if they have coverage, they provide legal counsel. They don't want us doing anything actively on the case, if they're going to take it, because they want to control what's going to happen.
So when the investigation gets completed by the insurance company, are you going to share that letter with council so we can read it? I do want to.
Sure.
Okay.
The vast majority of them, they just take over and handle them, and then we get some issue, they'll call us or want somebody to be a witness, or they interview our employees and stuff, but it's kind of an ongoing process. Sometimes they're 3 and 4 years before they're even done. Sometimes they go away. So we'll see. Yeah, it's still very rare.
Okay, thank you.
I got several things here. Next month at the council meeting, before the council meeting, the Historic Preservation Commission is asked to come in and speak to council to kind of let us understand what their duties are as the Historic Preservation Commission. So Tyler, if you want to kind of pencil that in. And also, we have the 2 public hearings that I mentioned. Also, I got an email from Kelly I'll be sending out to council. There's another lawsuit about the opiates with Purdue Pharma, and we need to make some kind of a response by about the middle of September, isn't it, Kelly?
Yeah, I was gonna.
So I didn't know whether we
my
needed to
comment.
write up a resolution to say.
Hey, they don't know how much we're gonna get,
Right.
but they say, hey, what do we got to fight about at this point? And county always got a lot more than we did, and a lot of other places got a lot more than we ever did. So I'm not thinking it's gonna be a windfall or anything, but they just want somebody to send them a note that says, Logansport says okay with.
I didn't know, do we need to like just pass a resolution saying
That's
we
the
support,
cleanest way to-
we want to be a part of it? So I'll be sending that information to you, and we'll have a committee meeting on that. Got committee meeting time set aside August 25th for finance, so if there's any other committees that would need to meet, I've got blocked off starting at 5 o'clock on August 25th for those. Reminder about the budgets, we got fire, street, cemetery, and golf budgets back so far. Need to get those in. And what else? Oh, and I've got a poster here. I went to the dinner with the Youth Service Alliance kids that went to their camp at the Riverside Park this year. They wanted me to thank Jan for the use of the facilities down there. They made a poster for the council thanking us for the funds that we helped support the Youth Alliance with. And those were some of the opiate funds that we got. So that's it.
Any other council member comments? All right. Miscellaneous business and any matters not already considered, including ADA Section 504 compliance or concerns. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Call for question.
Dave Morris?
Yes.
Susie Wamsley?
Yes?
Scott Petey?
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster?
Yes.
Cameron Austin?
Yes.
Chris Howard?
Yes.
BJ Cox?
Yes.
It's like 4 or 5.
This is stuff we talked about.